Hello everyone, just an update. I haven't really touched the car all summer, but now that fall is upon us, I'm starting to get back into it. Much more of the car is put together, the accessories on, the AC pump is done, belts on, distributors in. Still need to do a couple little odds and ends like tighten the headers up, run the wires, make sure I got the distributor timing correct, and check the fuel lines, make sure that everything holds, no leaks, etc. before I fire this up. But one thing I needed to do was run the Hydroboost lines, and as you can see, those are done here. So I've got all of my lines and fittings are from Vibrant Performance. On the Hydroboost, I used banjo bolts here, an 18, I think this is an 18 millimeter and a 16 millimeter, but don't quote me on that. For the low pressure line, what I did was I machined down the bung and got a 6AN bung to weld onto that machined down barb, sorry, not bung. And that's how I connected my lines. Everything is 6AN. I've got a 6AN to a 6AN adapter from Tough Stuff. I think that's Tough Stuff 550P. Threads into the pump, allows me to connect to a 6AN line. So it runs from here. This is the start of the system, the high pressure, runs up to here. I believe this side here, the large fitting. And then there's an additional high pressure line that comes from here, runs all the way down under there, you see down the bottom, and plumbs into the power steering rack on the high side. On that side, the other line running out runs to the cooler, which is mounted in the front here. And then that comes back up here and connects to this T right here. The other side of the T on the Hydroboost is a low pressure return here. That's the other side that comes down right there. And then from there, a single line runs into what I have for a reservoir. I got this from Chase Bays. It's a little bit of a universal type reservoir. They supply brackets, but none of them worked for me. So I fabricated this bracket here. I modeled it up in SolidWorks, 3D printed it, test fit it, and then I laser cut it on a machine that I have available to me at work. So it fits in quite nicely. I had to make a small little tweak for clearance on the bottom. That wasn't part of the plan. Originally this was supposed to be straight in, but I was able to give it a little tweak that gave me the clearance I need on the bottom, because the pump I'm using is actually a Ford Escort pump, I believe. It's the same as the Mustang pump, except for the backside doesn't have the reservoir cap here. It has a port in which you can feed a remote reservoir. So because of the alignment, I had to shift this forward a little bit by giving it a little bit of a clocking. That positioned it forward just enough that this large line here was able to drop straight down into the pump, making it easy. And then the other side is a 6AN connection. So the low pressure fluid returns through here, up into here, and then this feeds the pump. It's a pretty nice reservoir, well made. It has a baffle. I don't know if I can get this to focus, but the low pressure line that returns here goes into this unit on the left, which is a baffle, which keeps the fluid from foaming. And on the right, you can see that fitting that returns down to the bottom. The cap is vented and has an O-ring to prevent fluid from splashing out. And this is a pretty solid part. It threads in very, very nicely, very solid. The mounting is pretty secure. Overall, I do not think it takes away from the engine bay too much. I think it actually looks pretty good. So that wraps up the Hydroboost. I do need to get a couple clamps here, and I need to replace one of the fittings. It was a little bit questionable down on the power steering rack. I'm going to actually replace that one, just because I'll sleep better at night knowing that I won't get stranded with a leaking hose anywhere. But it's coming along. I just got a couple more things to do, and I'm ready to give this a fire. Thanks.